Grade 11. So this video will be the last video that I'll put out on Chapter 5 summary. This will include 5.6 and 5.7. 5.6 being the quadratic formula and 5.7 being the discriminant. Okay, so both of these are highly related to each other. Let's start off by giving an example equation. Let's say I had a function y equals to 2x squared minus 8x plus 5. Okay, so this is an equation. And if I wanted to find the roots or the zeros or the x-intercepts of the equation, basically what this means is that we're going to have to find where this graph intercepts the x-axis. Now, I have no idea what this graph looks like, but I'm just going to do any other normal quadratic graph. What this means is I want to find the x-intercepts. Okay, I want to set y as equal to 0 and be able to solve it. And currently, we're not able to solve it because it is not in vertex form. It is not in that a bracket x minus p whole squared plus q form. Okay, if we put it into that form, then of course you can set it equal to 0 and solve it by moving everything away so that we can isolate x. But there is a way. Now, the process of us completing the square is actually, if we just use a, b, and c for our ax squared plus bx plus c, if we do it to that, it actually creates this quadratic formula. I'm just going to write it down for you guys. I don't need you guys to know how to solve it, to prove it. You just need to know how to use it. So to find the roots of the equation, we just say x is equal to, and the formula goes like this, minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And this is for any quadratic equation in the form of y equals to ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so all you have to do is substitute in the values. So if we look at our question, we have 2x squared minus 8x plus 5. So I would say a is equal to 2, b is equal to negative 8, and c is equal to 5. Okay, so all we have to do is substitute in these values and we'll be able to find the roots. And let's say, for example, we want our answer to be in exact form, meaning that we'll have to leave it in square root form, and also to the nearest tenth, okay, and to the nearest tenth. Okay, so two different forms over here. Just make sure I didn't cut off my words. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to substitute in my values. So x is equal to, we have negative of b, so make sure you have the bracket there, negative of negative 8, plus or minus square root of, we have negative 8 whole squared, minus 4 times a, which is 2, c, which is 5, and all of this is over 2 times 2. Okay, so 2a. So clean up all of the squares, open up all the brackets. So we have x is equal to negative of negative 8 will be positive 8 plus or minus square root of 64. 64 minus 4 times 5 is 20. 20 times 2 is 40. So 64 minus 20, you can just put this all into your calculator actually. 8 squared minus minus 4 times 2 times 5, which is 24. And all of this is all over 4. Now, 24 can be simplified into 4 times 6, okay? And 4 is a perfect square, so we can take the 4 out, it becomes 2. So this becomes x equals to 8 plus or minus 2 root 6 all over 4. Now, 8 and 2 has common factor of 2, so I can simplify that even further. So this whole thing in the end becomes x equals to, if we take out the 2 over here, 2 bracket, and so this will be 4 plus or minus square root 6 all over 4, and the 2 and the 4 will cancel out to become 2. So I can just write it out nice and neat in the form of, just rewrite it, 4 plus or minus square root 6 all over 2. This will be the exact form. Now, if you want to give your answer into the nearest tenth, then all you have to do is put it into your calculator. Start with the minus, 4 minus root 6, and the whole thing, make sure you put another set of brackets in front of the 4, will be divided by 2. Okay, so if you're not sure what to put in your calculator, then you can put this expression to your calculator, 4 minus square root 6 in a bracket divided by 2. And so the first answer will be x equals to 0.8 because it rounds up. And our second answer will be the positive version. So you do 4 plus root 6, which is 3.2. Okay, so those are our two answers. Okay, so we have in exact form, this is the exact form, and this is to the nearest tenth. Okay, so this is how you use the quadratic equation. Let's have a look at another example, and it's fairly straightforward. Okay, so let's do another question over here. So if I had an equation, let's say f of x is equal to negative 3x squared plus 4x plus 1, then we have a is equal to negative 3, we have b equals to positive 4, and c equals to positive 1. Okay, so we're going to put it into our equation. So x is equal to negative of b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4 times a, which is negative 3, times c, which is 1, all over 2 times negative 3. Okay, so let's clean up the mess a little bit. So we have negative 4, so x is equal to negative 4 plus or minus square root of, and 4 squared is 16, 16 plus 12, okay, because negative 4 times negative 3, negative times negative will be positive, so 4 squared plus 12 will give us 28, all over negative 6. And then negative 28 is 4 times 7, right? 4 times 7 is, 4 times 7 is 28. So we can take the 4 out. So this becomes x is equal to negative 4 plus or minus 4 times 7. So 4 taken out of the square will become 2 root 7, all over negative 6. And then we can factorize the 2 here. So this becomes x equals to 2 bracket of negative 7, negative 2 now, plus or minus square root 7, all over negative 6, and this becomes 3. And I see a negative at the bottom, I see a negative at the top, so I can actually take out negative 2, okay, so a negative, okay, so this actually becomes x equals to 2 plus or minus square root 7 all over 3. Now, do I need to take out the negative from the plus or minus root 7? It doesn't matter. I don't. Because if I take out the negative from the plus, it becomes minus. If I take out the negative from the minus, it becomes plus. It is still plus or minus, okay? So you still get the two plus or minus answers. So you don't have to take the negative out from the second term. So we have 2 plus or minus root 7 all over 3. This is the exact form. And then now, if we want to give it in the nearest 10th place, this time let's do 100th, okay? Then we'll do x equals to 2 minus root 7, 2 minus root 7 all over 3. And so the first answer will be 1.12. And the second answer, we'll do the positive version. So 2 plus root 7 all over root 3 will be 2.88. Okay, so here are our answers. This is exact form. And this is the 100th form. Okay, so the second part of this summary is, what is the discriminant? Okay, so the discriminant will be the term inside the square root that determines whether we have two solutions, one solution, or no solutions at all. Okay, so let's talk about the discriminant. The discriminant. And the discriminant is the b squared minus 4ac. Okay, so let's relook at the quadratic formula. If we look at the quadratic formula, okay, that is x equals to negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. The discriminant will be the thing inside of here. Now, why is it the thing inside of the square root? Because we cannot have a negative square root, okay? If you try to put in negative square root, square root of a negative number, square root of negative 4, for example, and you press enter, you would get a math error, okay? So that is if you try to do negative square root of -4. Okay, let me show that again. If I try to put negative of square root into my calculator, you will get a math error. Why is that? Because it doesn't exist, okay? Not in the real number plane, okay? Okay, let's not talk about that. And so that's why if our b squared minus 4ac becomes negative, there are what we call no solutions. And how does that happen? Let's just have a look at the normal graph, okay? So if I had a quadratic equation such as this, okay, if our parabola looks like this, we have two square roots, two roots, okay? Now what happens if our formula changes so that our parabola looks like this? Then we would only have one touching point. Then this is what we call one root, or some people would say two equal roots. And then the last example, or the last situation is if the parabola actually goes up even more, then we will see there are no roots. Okay, so here there are no real roots instead. Okay, so our a, b, and c in our b squared minus 4ac actually affects, okay, whether there are two roots, one root, or no real roots. So let's have a look at our previous example. We know that there are two real roots. So let's go ahead and look at the discriminant. The discriminant over here becomes 28, okay, so it's positive. So if it's a positive number inside, then we will have two real roots because we have plus or minus of some number that forms our first and second answer. But so over here, let's have a look. If the discriminant, okay, if b squared minus 4ac, there are three possible things that happens. If it's positive, okay, if it's greater than 0, then we will have two real roots. Okay, I should move all of this a little bit lower to give myself a little bit more space. Okay, and then the second thing that happens, if it is equal to 0, then we have one root. Okay, or we call it two equal roots. Then the third thing is if it is less than 0, then we have no roots, no real roots, or no solution. It doesn't intercept the x-axis. Okay, so these are the three different possibilities. Let's have a look at an example over here. Let me show you guys an example where we have 0, or just one root, or we have no real roots. Okay, let's see. So the first one, let's see over here. Here. So let's look at this one. So we have an equation, y equals to x squared plus 16. Let me just change it to minus 8x, sorry. Minus 8x plus 16. So this is our equation. And then now we're going to figure out, whether there are two roots, one root, or 0 roots. We're going to use the discriminant. Okay, so we have b squared. So a equals to 1, b equals to -8, and c equals to 16. And so b squared minus 4ac, we want to put it into that. b squared minus 4ac. And so we have -8 squared minus 4 times 1 times 16. And so we have here 64 minus 64, which is equal to 0. And so now we know that this is 0, which means that there are one root. Okay, so this means that there are one real root, okay, or two equal roots. Okay, now let's very quickly have a look at what that looks like in the graph. Okay, another equation, final example. So let's do this one. So we have y equals to 5x squared plus 2x plus 1. Okay, and so we want to figure out whether there are 2 roots, 1 root, or no roots. And so if we do b squared minus 4ac, we have 2 squared minus 4 times 5 times 1. And so this is equal to 4 minus 20, which is negative 16. Okay, so we have b squared minus 4ac, which is negative, which means that there are no real roots. Okay, so that's exactly what it means. Now, if we really want to have a look at what it looks like in the calculator, then it for this one. It's the final review. Okay, if you have any further questions, you can send me an email or you can ask again, okay, to further clarify.